In the wonderful world of YouTube.com, at the corner of animation and horror, lies a creator named Hunter Hancock, better known by his online pseudonym, MEATCANYON. And in his time on YouTube, he has garnered an audience of 8.6 million subscribers for his very unique flavor of animation. And to walk you through that real quickly, his flavor of animation involves doing caricatures of internet celebrities or sometimes real-world celebrities. However, the twist is that these stories will inevitably twist into some grotesque body horror scene that is in itself a parody of said personality. One very viral example was his animation of Taylor Swift, which was not necessarily a parody of the singer herself, but rather more a parody of her extremely parasocial fan base. This skit from over a year ago involves Travis Kelce playing football in a stadium full of Swifties, and of course being from over a year ago, this predates their engagement announcement. I know about that. And in the animation, he silently murmurs to a friend that he plans on breaking up with Taylor, which the Swifties hear, and they descend on him like locusts. They drag him kicking and screaming to their queen, and she speaks to him using the mouths of her loyal fans. And then Taylor Swift transforms into this horrific four-legged creature that devours Travis's soul and uses it to make music that is gonna go platinum in a week. Now, obviously, to the casual observer, this is very obviously a blatant parody of Taylor Swift and her relationship with her fans. But if you were on Twitter in the days following this video going up, it very quickly became a self-fulfilling prophecy. But all that to say, this is the kind of animation style that he has become known for on YouTube. In addition to this, he also has a secondary channel, Papa Meat, where he does more commentary style videos, sometimes vlog style videos. It's a more free-form channel. And he is also the co-host of the podcast Creepcast. This podcast commonly delves into the best and the worst and all the stages in between of internet horror. And he does this with his co-host WhittyGuy, which I have said numerous times on this channel is one of my favorite creators currently on the platform, if you couldn't tell by the kind of videos that I make here. And so of course this year as Halloween approached and I saw that he had posted a video simply entitled MEATCANYON, I did what any sensible person would do, and I turned the lights off and I got ready for a wild ride. I went into it expecting an animation like his others that would end up turning into a parody of himself, but what I ended up getting instead was, in my mind, a profound film about the struggles of the modern artist that ends up turning into a grotesque parody of itself. It was the melancholic experience of a YouTuber who feels that he's run out of ideas, as well as one of the most visceral examples of well-done body horror that I can think of on YouTube. And I thought that it was really special and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. But before I do, of course, massive trigger warning right here. This short film includes a lot of disturbing imagery that was largely practically shot. And so if the mere idea of watching John Carpenter's The Thing or the like gives you an upset stomach, do not watch this video or the original video, because I think censoring these sequences would do him a disservice, and so I will not be holding back in my use of B-roll. And this short film does also contain parodies of popular culture characters in very edgy scenarios. And it is a lot, but I do think that it serves the point of the short film very well, and so I think, at least in my mind, it is justified. Nevertheless, viewer discretion advised. And if none of those are a deal breaker to you, then I absolutely recommend that you click off of this video first and watch the original short film for yourself. I have it linked in the description below, of course. I would hate to ruin your experience of it by this being the first time that you're hearing about it and seeing it. And so absolutely go and show Hunter some love, link in the description, go and watch that first and then come back. And there's also a great behind-the-scenes documentary, essentially by Creature Kid, a channel that was involved in the practical effects that were used in this short film. I have that linked in the description as well. Creature Kid is one person, but it's him and his team that did all of the production on the practical effects used in this film. And so with all that said, thank you so much for watching, and let's get into it. The short film opens up on a very Meat Canyon style animation of Phineas and Ferb. And these characters' designs are horrific, especially the incredibly cursed front-facing Phineas. And the whole plot of this cartoon is that they are being forced to attend summer school instead of their usual 104 days of summer vacation. And so to ensure that they can't go to summer school, they decide to solve this problem in the most American way possible. And again, viewer discretion advised. And that's where that story ends, because we immediately cut to Hunter in his office reviewing this animation. And clearly even he hates this animation that he put out because it's kind of just uninspired and purely just for the shock value.
Oh yeah, oh, Phineas and Ferb school shooter cartoon, oh yeah, that's a good idea, what the fuck?
And so its inclusion is startling to the viewer, but it is done with a layer of self-awareness. And this shot of Hunter immediately put me on edge purely because of that shadow in the corner there. I couldn't tell if this was just clothes hanging on a hook in the background, or if he was trying to do some like Hereditary style like creepy person in the corner thing. Ultimately it was the first one, so he either did this as a fake out to people like me who saw it and thought it was a person, or it was, as Bob Ross would refer to it, a happy little accident. The point is that it's clear that Hunter is running out of ideas, and his channel is paying the price. On his second monitor opposite the animation, we can see a live tracker of his subscriber count. And all of the people that I saw watching this short film immediately focused on the fact that he was nearly at 9 million subscribers and kind of like, you know, soy facing at that, but they failed to realize that the sub count was going down. This version of Hunter has run out of inspiration, and so in his desperation has been posting a bunch of uninspired, edgy slop, and his channel is paying the price. Quick break in the action, we finally found my lamp. I've been looking for this thing since July. We just found it. Oh, the joys of moving into a new house. Kill me now. This cycle that he is caught in is not working, and he even says to himself that he has to try something different. And from his chair, he looks up at a shelf stuffed with various trophies, presumably his own. On the top shelf is a singular light, illuminating nothing, and beneath the light is a square patch untouched by dust. Now, normally, of course, this would mean that something was removed from the shelf, but personally, in the context of this short film, I just think this is meant to emphasize an unused space. It is some accomplishment he has yet to make, and thus the spot is empty. And I have my theories on that, but I'm gonna save that for the end. But having run out of ideas and with his sub count dwindling, Hunter does what any good YouTuber would do, and he seeks advice from the grotesque abomination growing in his basement. He descends into his unfinished basement. The floor is littered with piles of these fleshy objects. And what those are, we will find out very soon. You're not gonna like it, but we'll find out soon. But in this moment, I do want to give a special shout out to the DP Tucker Prescott for his absolutely gorgeous cinematography throughout the entire film, but it really shines in this sequence. Because there, sitting in the corner of his basement, is this kind of creature or monster. And it seems that Hunter not only knows of this creature's existence, but has interacted with it before. A fleshy appendage extends from the creature, and out of it, it produces an egg. That's what these fleshy masses are all around it. These are all grotesque, fleshy eggshells. And without hesitation, Hunter immediately starts peeling the egg open layer by layer. And finally, when he gets to the yolk, a tiny mouth is revealed.
What if like Walter White's son had like a pregnancy scare at school and he was like pissed about it or something? I don't know.
Whatever this creature is, it appears to be some form of idea generator, and all of the eggshells strewn about the room are the remnants of past ideas. The version of Hunter in this short film has been starved of ideas for quite some time, and this creature only seems to be able to provide him with slop. Ideas that would get the clicks, but have no substance or passion behind them.
That's it? I can't make that.
He initially refuses the idea he's been given, but he needs the clicks, and so he does it. And of course, it doesn't work. His sub count keeps dropping even faster than before. He obviously hates it too, but he's getting more and more desperate and more willing to play along with this thing. He touches his face, forgetting that it's covered in the viscera of this creature and its eggs, and that it is now completely covering his desk. And I think that this imagery in particular might be twofold. First, it could be a literal manifestation of the slop he's creating at the behest of this creature. And secondly, it may also be a layer of self-parody. See, he has often been at the butt end of and also made his own jokes about his weight. And so this may just be him visually playing into the idea of him as this greasy, overweight man. And then we get this really cool shot of all of the hate comments pouring into his channel passing over his eye. People unsubscribing, calling him fat, saying his videos are garbage. Comments like this are very common, especially for a YouTuber as popular as MEATCANYON. And no matter how hard you try and ignore them, they can eventually get to you, especially if you are currently spiraling like Hunter is in this short film.
People are fucking mean, man! Fuck! God, no one likes any of my ideas. Everyone keeps calling me fucking stupid and fat. I don't. Why do they bring up the fat thing? It feels really irrelevant to the whole situation, but I just.
And so, like a drug addict looking for his next fix, he goes back to his dealer for another hit. And he truly is at this point that desperate, even stooping low enough to kissing this gross fleshy thing when it produces another egg for him. And surely this next idea will have some substance and not just be another famous IP does edgy joke here, right? Well...
There's no trans people in my swamp. Get out of here, you foul beast! Oh, Dad, I'm your baby girl. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this video was also not the key to saving his channel, apparently. His numbers are now skyrocketing, and not in the upward direction. And to be clear, it's not like these things are easy to make either. Even though he is putting out slop animations like this, they still take a long time to produce. I have no idea how long the average MEATCANYON animation cycle takes from initial idea to storyboard to final product, but these videos are probably being published months apart. Hunter is clearly sad and desperate, but now more than ever, he's also angry. And so he goes to confront the source of his wrath, the creature in the basement. And we also get a better look at this thing now. It is vaguely humanoid and appears to be anchored to the wall by a series of fleshy roots. Just insanely cool creature designs. So again, shout out to Creature Kid and his team who made this thing come to life. And especially Creature Kid himself, who was the person in the suit playing the creature. But he finally confronts this creature. Hunter works so hard on his animations, and this idea-generating creature is not living up to its end of the bargain.
What is this? Is this some kind of fucking joke to you? I'm busting my ass up there and you're not doing shit! Cause you don't care. You don't care about anything, do you? Nothing! Nothing!
And then we start to get really gross with it. So again, viewer discretion advised. Hunter reaches his whole arm into this thing's appendage, digging around for more eggs while the creature screams in pain. His hand comes out empty. There is nothing left. More frantic than ever, he starts tearing the skin off the creature's chest and then digs his hands into the chest as the beast wails in agony. Hunter viciously opens the chest of this creature, revealing the viscera and organs inside, but no eggs. And I love this sequence because it's so clear how much of a love Hunter and the entire team have for body horror, especially when done practically. Because in shots like this, he is actually getting messy. But also, this is the first sequence that taps into something profound about the whole subgenre of body horror. Because projects like this will hook you with images of some grotesque monster and this really painful, grotesque-looking transformation. But often in stories like this, we come to realize as the story progresses that it is people who are the real monsters. Such was the case in Cronenberg's The Fly, where the real monster was Jeff Goldblum's obsession with discovery and with transformation, and that obsession starts to corrupt him. And of course the influence of The Fly, but I don't have time to get in the weeds of this. In John Carpenter's The Thing, the real antagonist is the paranoia that begins to take root in the survivors in this Arctic base. I mean, of course, there is a very legitimate threat of a monster that will kill them, but most of the conflict in the movie comes from whether or not your friend is actually your friend. And in this short film, that is put on display as well. Hunter started off this short film as an artist who was running out of inspiration, and he was watching his success rapidly dwindle before his eyes. But now he has become desperate and obsessive and is willing to hurt this creature that until now he has had some kind of working relationship with. And so I just think that this scene is a great nod to moments like that from John Carpenter, David Cronenberg, and people like that. Realizing that he is out of ideas and now fully enraged, Hunter begins viciously attacking the viscera of this creature, splashing guts and blood everywhere. The creature shrieks and sputters and finally, mercifully, is killed. And we then cut to this really cool circular shot of a bathroom viewed from above. And I loved this shot when I first saw it. I'm not sure if this was the inspiration for the shot, but this gave me very strong 2001 A Space Odyssey vibes when I first saw it. In this bathroom, he tries desperately to wipe the blood and viscera from his face. And it's for this exact reason that I love that this scene was shot in red light. In my mind, that feels very much intentional, because no matter how hard he tries to wash himself clean of all the blood on his face and hands, he still looks just as bloody as when he entered. Perhaps he will never be truly clean ever again. No amount of water can wash away the blood on his hands. Feeling a wave of nausea overtake him, he runs to the toilet, presumably to vomit. I also didn't really have an organic way of bringing this up in the video, but in this shot, it also looks like there are hands stretching towards him through the walls, and that is something that they actually shot. I just love little details like that. It's not even addressed, it's more just like set dressing for this already intense scene. And another insanely cool detail that you may not notice in this sequence is that in certain shots in this sequence, Hunter is actually replaced with a one-to-one puppet of his head. A puppet that was also designed by the team over at Creature Kid. It's something you may miss on your first watch, but I think is an insanely cool detail and a great nod to the horror movies of the 80s that inspired this trick. He opens the toilet, but it becomes immediately clear to us that this is no ordinary stomach reaction, because he immediately begins vomiting up blood. And then suddenly, he vomits out an egg sac, very similar to the kind that the creature used to make. Was he infected by the creature, or did the creature pass on some kind of curse to Hunter? I'll tell you right now, we are not going to get answers for any of that, so don't even ask. Obviously, he reels back in terror at what he just did, but curiosity gets the best of him and he crawls back to the toilet. And when he peers into the bowl, we see that the egg is hatched, and inside is a tiny creature. An infant with the face of a human, but its body is wrapped in these fleshy, meaty tendrils. And this creature is entirely 2D animated in a 3D live-action sequence, which I absolutely adore, and it is not the last time that this trick will be pulled, because this is where this short film starts taking a deep dive into the surreal. We fade to Hunter sometime later where he is taping up the monitor that he smashed, trying to rebuild what he destroyed. And we can see that his flesh is mutating. Boils and pus and scars are starting to appear all across his body. And this shot is very much reminiscent of The Fly, especially in the early stages of his transformation. And he is continuing to vomit up these eggs, which now litter his desk. And then we fade back to the basement where the now dead creature has been decomposing for some time now. The skin around its head is gone, revealing what looks to be a human skull. Maybe the creature in Hunter's basement was once itself human, and Hunter is now bound to this same fate. Finally, we fade to some time later where we see the final transformation of Hunter. It seems that, like the many people he animated on his channel over the years, he has turned from a person into a parody into a monster. This is MEATCANYON. And as a side note that is just insanely funny to me, there was an anecdote on the podcast Creepcast that he has with WhittyGuy. It was an episode that the two filmed in person, and WhittyGuy was bringing up the fact that Hunter had forgotten to pick him up from the airport. And this was MEATCANYON's preemptive response to that being brought up on a public podcast.
I've gotten him every time. He comes in at like midnight. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, I guess. He's like, well, the tickets are $30 cheaper. Okay, right?
Right.
Whatever. And then when I go to his neck of the woods, he's like, nah, it's too much of a drive. And I'm like, fair. That's fair.
Right.
So it's bullshit.
Okay, well, can I just say that when I landed here yesterday,
I was in a goop suit.
Yeah, and you didn't tell me about any of that. I land here. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be there Thursday at 3. Hunter's like, Thursday at 3, got it. Thursday at 3. I get here.
It was a stressful week.
Thursday at 3. I'm like, hey man, nothing.
That is rare though.
15 minutes
that's
later,
not an ongoing thing.
15 minutes later, I call Hunter. Nothing.
I was in a goop suit.
And now that the short film is out, I think we can safely say we know what Hunter meant when he said that he was in a goop suit. It's also very commendable that despite Hunter admitting to having extreme claustrophobia, that he was in fact in the suit doing these scenes. I know that can't have been easy, even just from a production standpoint, but also from a personal standpoint, but I really appreciate that he was able to make that sacrifice for his craft. But at this point, his office is filthy. He is sitting at his desk, just watching his sub count plummet. Maybe this was always his destiny, to fall from grace before he ever got the chance to fill that final spot on his shelf. Now he has devolved into what all the hate commenters view him as, a greasy blob of flesh sitting alone in what looks like Asmongold's office. In true MEATCANYON fashion, he has turned into a vile parody of himself. And he vomits up yet another egg, but before he goes to set it down on his desk with all the others, he pauses and takes a second look. And I love that in this moment, all that's left that we see of the original Hunter is a singular eye. And in that eye, we get so much emotive storytelling in this moment. He begins to open up the egg, and from the yolk inside emerges a tiny little branch-like hand. He pulls it out, and it is revealed to be another humanoid creature, one with the face of a man, but the body of something branchy and wrapped in these meat vines, essentially. They look a lot like blood vessels. I'm not sure whether they're branches, they're flesh, they're blood. It could be all three of those, honestly. It even refers to him as Dada, implying that this creature spawned from his vomit egg is his child. Sputtering and coughing, MEATCANYON slowly rises up from his chair, and he begins to lurch forward. As the music begins to swell, he moves to place this child of his in that precious spot on his shelf. It seems that after his years of trying and searching, he has finally created the thing that is worthy of its place in that stage of prominence. One stumpy foot at a time, he lurches closer and closer to his goal. He is almost straining with the effort it takes to raise his hand high enough to reach the top shelf, but he's almost there. And then... before he can make it to his ultimate goal, his body opens like the petals of a flower, and all that remains is this fleshy plant. A plant with his likeness on the top, but is made of those fleshy branches. It is unblinking and unmoving until finally it falls to the ground dead. We slowly exit the room, seeing the full scope of the mess left behind. On one of his monitors, the subscriber count has dwindled into the 100,000s or possibly even lower, and it will continue to do so until not a single subscriber remains. And that's how the short film Meat Canyon ends. Not only is this a fantastic love letter to the body horror movies of the 80s, but it has a soul that is entirely unique to this project. And I don't have any solid explanations for what this film is, but I do have my theories. My main theory is that it is a surreal and visceral look at an artist who has lost his inspiration, which is very obvious, but I'm gonna get into the weeds of what that means. But it is also kind of insane considering that this Halloween I put out a project on my channel that has very, very similar themes to what's discussed in this short film. But trust me, one of these projects is way better than the other, but I do like what I did with mine. That's probably linked up there if I thought to do that. At the start of this, Hunter is an artist whose audience is dwindling. At this point, he has resorted to pumping out slop content that is generated by the creature in his basement, but he still dreams of one day creating something lasting, something powerful. And I think that that's what the empty space on the shelf represents. It represents the idea of a magnum opus, the pinnacle of an artist's achievement. But as for the creature in the basement who can only generate passionless slop, I think you might know where I'm going with my theories on this. One of my initial theories for this short film was that this creature might be an analogy for generative AI. It's an entity that some people go to for ideas and something that some people seem to not be able to live or create without. Which, to be clear, we didn't have generative AI like 3 years ago. I think you can live without it. They go to it for ideas and inspiration and creativity, but ultimately it is only capable of producing uninspired slop, hollow derivative shells of ideas. But I wouldn't put it past him to make a surrealist horror project that portrays generative AI as this dying, grotesque monster, a horrific monster that is a bad idea machine. Either that or the creature just represents his dying inspiration. After years of making animations on YouTube, maybe he's just running out of ideas for those. Because that's the problem with artistic expression on YouTube. No matter how successful a video is, you are only a success on YouTube if you can continue reproducing that success over and over again with consistency. And that consistency has to carry for years, possibly even decades for some creators. I myself have been able to monetize my videos for about 2 years now, but the majority, I would say about 90 to 95% of the revenue I've ever received from YouTube is still coming from my video on Shin Godzilla, which was the video that pushed me into the YouTube Partner Program. In order to be quote-unquote successful on this platform, I would need to be doing numbers like this every single video. And believe me, that is not happening. But primarily, this short film exists as a parody of the situation that Meat Canyon finds himself in, as well as a parody of the man himself. And in any good parody, every aspect of the character is heightened. A YouTuber struggling with burnout is heightened to a man desperate enough for ideas that he will turn to a creature and then turn on that creature and just really gross and vile, desperately clutching at anything he can get his hands on. MEATCANYON himself is made into a parody of what hate comments view him as, a greasy blob of flesh dwelling in his own filth. And to be extra clear, I'm not saying that's what he is. This is a parody, an exaggerated reality created by the man himself. And as for the final ending, I don't quite know what it means, but I know what it speaks to me. It could be that in that final moment, after all the terrible decisions that he led him to that moment, he made his magnum opus too late. As he goes to put his greatest achievement up on this pedestal, he dies before he can make it there. There is a melancholic sense of incompletion with the ending of this film. It ends so abruptly that you are left with the emptiness of something that could have been fulfilled if only it weren't too late. MEATCANYON is a powerful project about a man grasping at the vile darkness in an attempt to reach for the light. And it's a reminder that if you are an artist of any kind, your best work is more than likely, I would say 99% chance, not gonna come from generative AI. It'll come from you. It just takes time to get there. And if you're watching this video and you happen to be the CEO of YouTube, hey, maybe this would be a good time to prioritize quality over quantity. I spend most of my time writing videos like this. I don't have time to make daily slop. But I do have time to thank you all for watching this video. Sorry for my inconsistency this past entire year. This truly has been a year on record, and not in a good way, at least for me personally. And apologies for taking a break after the videos I published this Halloween. I made a little community post about it. I was taking time off for personal reasons, and I'll probably at some point tell you all about it, but that time is not now. But I'm back now, and I'm hoping to be back with a vengeance. And I'm still kind of trying as a creator personally to carve out my niche on this platform, because I do want to keep doing videos like this and the longer ones that I have made, but those take a lot of time to research and write and produce. And so those will continue to be the backbone of this channel, but I do want to start introducing more kinds of content, maybe more short form videos that engage with my hobbies. I'm a big physical media nerd, so I might be doing more like, you know, I could do more vinyl hauls and reviewing different things that I have stumbled upon. The point is, I have a bunch of video ideas and a bunch of projects that are in the works, some really big ones coming down the pipeline, and I hope that you stick around to see what those are. And of course, a massive thank you to you all. We just passed 10,000 subscribers. We're actually at 10,100 subscribers. I missed the milestone, again, the personal reasons that I'm not going to talk about in this video, but I will share with you at some point. But it's crazy that this channel has been able to reach this size, and it's all thanks to you all. And I do want to do something special to celebrate this milestone, but I'm not quite sure what it is. I've never had a milestone celebration before, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments. I'll read through them and I'll consider all options, because I do want to do something special for this occasion, because 10,000 subscribers is a huge milestone, at least to me. And of course, a huge shout out goes to the patrons. Sean, Happy the Knife, and the top tier patrons, RD, Snowy, and Bottomless Potamus. Sorry, it's been a while since I've recorded, and my brain is fried. But thank you all so much for continuing to support me in my inconsistency and my constant on and off breaks this year. It's been a real rough one. I'm gonna keep it real with you guys, but I'm glad that you're still here and you're still supporting me. It means the world. I don't know what side you're on. You're probably on this side, but thank you so much. And let's hear it for another year. I really hope that for the rest of this year and going into 2026 will be my best year of creation yet. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you very soon for another video. I hope that you're excited for that, because I know that I am. And cut.